Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we are in Lakeland, Florida, and we're working on the golf course community HOA project. We're going to go ahead and replace a great distance. We're going to be replacing this curb drain, and we're going to do about 100 feet here today, maybe a little bit more. It's down about knee deep, and if you remember, we've got a broken collapsed line that we cleaned and saved the association a little over $110,000. And if you understand what it really costs to do these things, there's a dewatering permit, and there's also the road cutting permits, and then of course cutting that road. So that's what we were trying to avoid, and that's how we saved all that money. So basically, we're going to replace from that apron, that driveway, we're going to cut all the sod off as it runs all the way down to the next apron, and it's down there about knee deep. And if you remember that video, you'll see it here again. There's a gravel perforated pipe, and the real problem here was that whoever installed that, they did a great job, but they had the holes pointing upwards, and of course water floods underneath of that pipe, pushes it up, and they didn't have gravel underneath, only on the top, pushes up into that gravel, collapse the pipe. So we're going to put this in there, and we're also, by the way, going to run mostly easy flow because it works so good. And if you remember this video where we put the sump pump in over here, we ran easy flow, and it is working so good. Water just pours through that stuff here in the sandy soil. And even the association president asked me to do that. So we're going to put easy flow. We may have to cut this apron here. We don't know what kind of flow is under here yet, but we're going to find out. We could also try to clean it, which we'll do. Even if it's open, we'll clean it to make sure. But easy flow, guys, works really good in sandy soils and clay soils, but really good here in the southern part of the hemisphere. So remember why we're doing this. All of these homes, they have a septic field that's above ground here, and you can see the incline coming up. Further than that, this is on an incline coming way up and around that curve. There's probably, I don't know, 40 homes as it comes around, and there are storm drains every 300 feet. But this curb drain didn't always go into the storm drain. Where we are right here behind these other guys' vehicles, that storm drain, that curb drain comes around it and continues. So I don't know why they didn't tie it in there, but they didn't. And we did find one, where we showed you the waterfall of water that's 300 feet from this one to the next one. But anyways, water comes down. There's a golf course behind these homes, huge. Water's getting pushed underground, and it comes down and it overflows the sidewalk and the curb, even when it's dry. I mean, yeah, it's not doing it right now, but when it's really raining and or thereafter, for many days and weeks afterwards, water just keeps coming over the curb. So we had to do some work here to replace that curb drain. Curb drains are very important anywhere in the country. So can you see the erosion taking place under the sidewalk? You see that right there? That same erosion is occurring under the street over here. And remember, our first plan of attack was to cut this road, put in a new 8-inch line, and let it discharge over to here. But as we got into the permitting of that and what the association could afford, they couldn't possibly do that because we have to get a dewatering permit. And that would also take, who knows, weeks, months before there's enough water removed that we're actually able to dig. They need to solve this problem. That's why we cleaned the line, because it was possible that we could open that line and replace sections just like we're doing now. We're going to replace again from driveway all the way down to the next driveway and put in new pipe. Welcome to Florida. 15 minutes and you're just drenched out here. I mean, just totally drenched. It's so humid and hot. Today's supposed to be up around 98, typical summertime in Lakeland, Orlando. It does get hot, and you can see we're making great progress. Turn this around so you can see it. Pulling off all the sod, and yeah, it's hot. We're gonna be able to get this thing exposed here today and get some pipe in. Remember, we upgraded to the Easy Flow quick drain. Really great stuff. It does move water at least 30% faster than gravel, especially here in the sand. It does the same in clay, but it really works well here in Florida. Any Gulf state, any ocean state, you know, where you've got a sand base, it really works good. Okay, so clean from under the drive, and I can feel that cable. You can see it in my hand. It's just spinning, and you can see the water still in the line. That's because there's so much water in the ground. It's draining, and it's going all the way down to that manhole. So we're going to let this water run for quite some time. Try to get that to really clear up. Get that cable down here again one more time. So we're installing the curb drain. It's the Easy Flow. Secret is be down below the curb, and we're going to put a clean out on it down here. You'll see the T that we're getting ready to build right there. We're looking real good. So a lot of people wonder what collapsed pipe looks like. This is what it looks like. You can see it just totally goes flat like a pancake. You also notice that these holes were pointing upwards, which is totally the wrong direction. And this is from the holes. If they were pointing down into the trench, it would allow that water to come up, but because they weren't, acted like a boat, lifted that up. This is actually under the apron, so we're going to have to cut that and replace it. So we've got our Easy Flow installed up to here. Again, we're going to leave this off. We've got to cut this driveway. Remember I showed you the collapsed section. You can see how collapsed it is. It's even flatter under the driveway, so we're going to have to cut that drive. We're going to run some PVC under here versus this ADS. That way we know that it'll never collapse and much safer under the concrete drive. It does have holes in it. It's still perforated, but it's PVC. Then we'll connect this here all tomorrow. We're going to go ahead and cut this apron today and get that cut, probably pop it all out tomorrow morning. So a good job, something that, you know, the handyman could do here if you work for the HOA. You could definitely do this. It's not that hard. It's nice with a bunch of guys. It goes really quick, and I mean, it's only took 2 or 3 hours to replace the line. It took a lot longer though to determine the problems and clean the line and get that sand out of there where we could get a flow down through there. That takes a lot of troubleshooting and a little bit of knowledge. So we're cutting that concrete, and Matt's doing a nice job up there. It actually has a curve on it, on the cut, so it's a little slower. You have to kind of go shallow and then you can come back again. Looking real good though. And Chuck's doing a great job, and Chance are taking this soil out so we can set that sod back in there nicely. And we're almost all set here. Looking real good. So if you notice, this is a curve, and it's a little different than a straight cut. Matt did a great job here. This is the first cut. We still need another cut. It'll be right here beside the apron, but it's a great cut. So adding the clean out, remember it is perforated pipe, but we do need access to this line. Catch basin is not needed here, but we do need access so that we can send a cable back, 100 feet back to the other side of that drive, and then again Another 100 feet down this way, we'll put another clean out down there, and that will allow us to get to the manhole. We're going to put this on a maintenance every year, come out and re-clean the line to make sure, because remember, we did not replace this section through here, and sand does get down into the line, so we need to make sure we keep that open. You know, there's lots of kind of fittings that you could put on. This particular fitting goes from the corrugated to the PVC 4-inch, and we've got one on both sides. I've already made that measurement for the clean out for the riser stack. And then we have the clean out adapter, and we'll have the lid on top, and we'll glue all that up, and it's all set. Coming up next, one of the best tips that I can show you for the DIY is how to remove concrete without a jackhammer. Hey, Chuck here with Apple Drains. You know, wherever it rains across the country, we get calls. If you're interested in this business opportunity in your local area, please use our service sign-up sheet to get some information about a great turnkey business. So we made 2 cuts across the drive. The secret to this is that you've got to get clear through the concrete. Your concrete saw, the blade, see that blade? It'll cut 4 inches, 4.5 inches. And you've got to get clear through the concrete in order to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to be the human jackhammer and just start cracking that concrete. And it should crack. Looks like it cracked right away. And basically you just keep going in the same place, and you'll be able to pop that piece right out of there. Once you get a piece out, it'll crack and be so easy to pull out of there. Can you see that cracking with just a couple of hits? So let's pull this piece out right here, one of the pieces. Let's pull a piece out, Chuck. Now it is on a curve, so they could get stuck, but I don't think they will. Matt did a really nice job of cutting through there. And you can see that he cut clean through the concrete. That's the secret. And you see how easy this comes out. You don't need a jackhammer to do this. Pry them up, maybe not quite so big, but that's fine. About a foot's about the best, maybe 18 inches. And this, once it cracks, you can see it just pops right out. Slide it over, pry it up. One person picks it up and puts it in the trailer or whatever, just stack it up. You can see how quick this goes. But this is because Matt cut clean through the concrete. You have to cut all the way through the concrete, or you will end up going to get a jackhammer to get this out of here. Remember that things are to code on the average. So this is supposed to be 4 inches, and it is. It's exactly 4 inches. And it's just perfect. Real nice pour on the driveway. And all driveways, all sidewalks, all basement floors, they're all the same. They're supposed to be 4 inch. They might be 3 inch, but they're supposed to be 4. You could find a 6 inch apron, and that is just something that some people do, some of the concrete guys. Also, that concrete tends to slide. Remember, we're on a hill, so it all slurries down, and it could be really thick here in the apron, but so far, so good. We're almost halfway across. Going to let it run so you can see how quick this goes. I mean, it's been 2 minutes since I started talking, and it just goes right through. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. We've got I think that's an 18-pound bar, and maybe it's a 30-pound bar, but whatever. It doesn't take much. You can get those at Home Depot and Lowe's, either one. They're about 28 bucks, and it just pops right out of there. Real simple. Something you can apply if you're watching this video, and of course you're not doing the curb drain, but maybe you're doing a channel drain. This is how we install channel drain too. Looking real good, real good. If you think about concrete as being a piece of glass, and you can hit that glass several times before it cracks. Once it cracks, it usually cracks all the way through and just comes straight out. if you see a crack forming, you know, go ahead and go to that crack. You see where Chuck went over, there was already a crack formed there. Use the cracks that form because it is brittle. Concrete's actually very brittle, and you can easily break through this and lift it right out. A lot of comments about jackhammers and oh, this and that, but you know what? This is not hard, and you can see how quick it goes. I mean, we're almost clear to the end. It's nice to have two guys, but you can definitely pry a piece up and lift it. They're heavy. Don't forget that they are heavy. Each one of those weighs what? About 40 pounds, Matt? About 40 pounds. And you can make a wall out of them when you're done. Use them for a retaining wall. I'm into recycling, and hopefully you are too. Or you can get rid of them, either one. Remember that we're on a curve, so sometimes they kind of stick in there, but normal straight cut, they pop right out. Yeah, that's looking real good. It's cracked all the way through to the other end. So we're going to remove these pieces of concrete, and we're going to call it a day. We're just going to finish backfilling, putting that sod on, and get this cleaned up. And tomorrow we'll return, go ahead and trench it out, put in the perforated PVC under the drive with gravel, or we may run just straight PVC. I'd prefer to run straight PVC, but there's a lot of water here. I do want this driveway to stand up the test of time, so we may run solid PVC under here as well. But regardless, we're going to trench this out tomorrow, attached to our Easy Flow. That piece is just laying there. You know, we have to have an area where we can attach. Put our cleanouts on and trench it and be all done. Save this association about $110,000. Even though they spent a few thousand to do all this, believe me, you know, the dewatering permit, road permit, and then cutting the road, putting it all back together, very costly, no matter what state you live in. Hey, just a quick note here. You know, we are extremely busy. I know if you watch my videos, you're probably tired of hearing this, but we are extremely busy all across the I-4 corridor, coast to coast, you know, Tampa to Daytona through Orlando, and of course further south as well. Hurricane season is here, rainy season has already started. If you want to get on our schedule, I urge you to sign up online as soon as possible. It is filling very fast. One final note is about the Skype consultations. Sorry, garbage truck, hold on. So the other note is that Skype consultation, I'm doing as many as I can. I'm doing about 5 a day right now. The last 3 were actually in Detroit. All the same thing, French drain, retaining wall. You know, we're just so busy, and I apologize. I would love to be able to get 8 or 10 Skype consults in a day. Use the service sign-up sheet. I will get to you. I may not reply immediately, but I will get to you, and I promise you that I can help solve your problem. Those last 3 or 4, whatever they were in Detroit, one was in Lansing. Must have get a lot of rain right there for some reason, but they've already installed the systems and told me that they work really good, so I know I can help you with your problem. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day. Okay, so we went ahead and opened this line up again and just put our garden hose in there. You can hear it running because the line is so out of round, so collapsing, that we really needed to make sure that we got all that sand out of there. Let's take a look down here at the catch basin. Water's running right through there. Remember, we're going to extend that up to grade and put a grate on it. They asked us, they wanted to be able to just look in there and see it running, so that's all good. We can do that. Clean out would be probably look a little better, but that's okay. And then down here at the manhole, I can hear that water running, but let's take a look so you can see yourself. And you can see just how clean and clear that water is now. We know that there's no more sand in the line, and we're looking really good. So remember, there's 2 types of manholes, storm drain and sewer, and they're always marked. They are always marked. Don't ever put your things down in either one. Storm water becomes drinkable water. Sewer water is treated at the treatment plant. So you'd never want to dump oil or anything like that down these drains. So It's around 12 o'clock and we are totally drenched in sweat and dirt, but we're almost done. So we're going to come back tomorrow, like I said, and do that concrete trench through the apron, and this job's complete. We've added the catch basins. We've got a great flow of water coming down to the manhole, and again, saved this HOA about $110,000. By the time you get a dewatering permit, road cutting permit, and then of course cut the road, do all the backhoe work and get all that pipe in there, plus the excavation that we did today, we saved them, you know, $100,000. So really great job. Feel really good about it. I know it's going to work great, and real proud of the crew. They're just as tired as me, and we just have, you know, about maybe half a day tomorrow, and we should be all done. So to extend a catch basin is relatively easy. You can see how it sets up. We've got a riser, we've got a basin down below. Great. This is SDR 35 and it's 6-inch. It takes a 6-inch piece. They do sell these. They only sell them at Lowe's. You can't get them at Home Depot, so don't waste your time. This is a 6-inch round catch basin and works real good. We've got, you know, the inlet, the outlet, water runs through it. And what we're doing is we're just bringing this catch basin up to grade, up into here, because they wanted something that they could just look in and see that water flow. Real simple. Basically, we're going to set our SDR 35 down in. Then we're going to make a measurement. However you want to do it, you can use a ruler. I like to just use a saw and give it a little score so we know where that's at, then I can cut that off. So once you cut your pipe to the right size, stick it down in your catch basin, wiggle it so it's good and tight down to the bottom, set your catch basin on, and it's done. Pretty simple, right? Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we are finishing up the HOA, the golf course, the curb drain that we've been working on for a couple days. Basically, this is a really straightforward job. And again, it's a good video for the do-it-yourselfer if you take and apply all the things that we do to your French drain, downspout drain, channel drain, crawl space. All these things come into play. So if you watch the video, you'll sure learn a lot, that's for sure. And it's not much different than, you know, any other type of French drain. However, it is a curb drain, and it goes from manhole to manhole, you know, 300 feet between each one. So it's a lot of French drain. So this morning we're going to go ahead and trench this out. Remember yesterday we cut it, we took out the concrete, we hauled that away, and basically about an hour here with this many guys, we'll just knock this out, put in our new SDR 35. SDR 35 is a little thicker than thin wall PVC, and it's a little thinner than Schedule 40, but it works great for this application. We like to use it underneath of drives and things like that, where we know a lot of weight is going to be pushed down on there. We are going to add gravel to the system as well. Even though this is solid pipe, with enough gravel, the water will still flow through the gravel no matter what and get over to the other side. Of course, we're taking it from the sump pump, which is going to be taken out, if you remember that first video, and this just becomes a clean out. And that was the association's idea to do. They didn't want to pull it, they said leave it there, which is a good idea. So once they told me that, I said let's go ahead and run a piece of 1.5-inch pipe. We'll cap that off just in case they have a problem, and we could always install a sump pump down at that next driveway and pump all that water to here and then lift it up again and send it all the way back to that storm drain. And if you've watched these last few recent videos, I've talked about lift stations and how they work. Remember, every city, no matter where you live, water runs downhill so far. Eventually it's so deep that they use a pump to lift that water back up, and then gravity takes over again. And this is done around the country, around the world. So it may seem like, well, that's a silly idea to put the pump in there, but not really if you understand drainage. So on this job, we're able to just pull it right out of the trailer, the gravel, and just, we're covering up the pipe. We need to have gravel through there so that we can continue the groundwater flow, and it's just, you know, just helping it. We've got the SDR 35. We added the 1.5 as I described before, just in case they want to put a sump pump in here. But it's looking really good. But to give you some idea of how much water we're talking about, you see that flow of water right there? Can you see it? It's just pouring through here. And the reason it is because this line goes all the way around to the top of that hill and beyond that curve. And it's picking up all kinds of groundwater. I mean, tons of groundwater. And that protects the curb and the street from erosion. So, very important line. Once we connect this will all go into our system over here and be carried away all the way down to the next manhole. So you can see where the sump pump is. Remember, we're going to pull the sump pump probably next week sometime. The reason we can't pull it today, we could, but they hardwired this thing into a box over here, so I can't really cut it. These people aren't home. Anyways, you can see our outlet line, the white PVC. You can see the inlet line right down in here where we're bringing in the curb drain. And basically it's just going to run through the sump basin, and that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. We've got a real solid lid. You can drive a truck over it. It's all good. This line goes underneath of the driveway. You can see us cleaning it off. A lot of cleanup when you do concrete. You got to wash it all off and make it really good and clean before you pour concrete. Right over here we connected to the French drain, which we use the quick drain, which works so good. Coming down through here, finish up the sod. One more place to backfill over there where you saw me put the catch basin together, and this job's complete. So about another hour, we'll be pouring concrete. That takes a little while. We've got to mix that, spread it, and then of course finish it in there, trowel it in, and get a nice finish on it. But it looks real good. So the final wash off, Chuck's spraying off. Remember that when you cut concrete, that the slurry that comes off of that blade, the mortar, it does stick. It will eventually wear off, but of course we try to get as much off as we can. And so we're cleaning that off, get it real nice and smooth and clean. Then we'll mix just concrete by the bag, 1 80-pound bag at a time. For us, that's the best way we found to do that. You make a real good mix, and one person mixes, the other person trowels it in, and then you'll float it and finish it off, and it'll be done. So if you remember my crawl space videos, gravel by the bag. So now it's Quickcrete, or is it Sackcrete? I guess it's Sackcrete. Sackcrete by the bag. We just do 80-pound bags. Try to make a nice mix. Always a little bit wet. Sometimes you make it dry, but better if you keep it wet, especially down here in the super hot heat. Let that evaporate slowly. Looking good. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and again, when I'm here, it just really slows them down, I think. So they're pretty much ready to take over and do their thing. They're doing a great job. It's hot, tempers come up quick, of course, but yeah, looking really good. So as always, make sure you caution off your area, although somebody could step in it or even drive over it. But it's all good. We've got a great system installed. Runs all the way down, way past Chuck there. You can see how hot it is. We took off our shirts. It's just super hot. So let's go ahead and recap this real quick. What we did was we replaced about 140 feet of curb drain, which is gravel perforated pipe, French drain some people call it, but it's actually a curb drain. And what it does is it protects the curb and the street. And if you go back through some of these videos, you'll see that where that street has collapsed and there's problems, so we've corrected that problem. We used quick drain, NDS Easy Flow. That's the Styro-Rock pipe. It works really good in sandy soil. Already contained, it's got the fabric around it, allows water to pass through it 30 times at least, if not more, than gravel does. But you know what? A little plug there for Robert and the yellow pipe. That pipe would work really good on a situation like this, there's no doubt. The collection of that with all those holes in it, even though it's slotted, it would still work extremely well. The key of that would be to make sure you have a good base of gravel underneath that pipe and not set it directly on the soil, because it will float up. No matter how much water it picks up, doesn't matter, it's still going to float up. unless you have more holes on the bottom. So get that gravel underneath of it, surround it with gravel, use your fabric, keep that sediment out, and you're in good shape. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.